5 horror games based on real-life incidents. Horror games have grown in popularity, encompassing a wide range of subgenres, styles, and settings. Despite their bleak outlooks, many of the fictitious locations in video games are based on real-world locations. Exhilarating sensations can be had by playing games that play with the darkest fears. AAA games, RPGs, action, FPS, and open-world games like the GTA series provide tremendous challenges as well, but they do not provide the same experience as horror games. Each genre, after all, has its own set of challenges, stories, and experiences. Many horror games provide a wonderful challenge for those looking for something different from casual games. In general, horror game plots, such as Silent Hill, Resident Evil, and Outlast, are pure fiction. But imagine if the horror game story was inspired by true events. It has to be scarier than the ones with made-up stories. Number 5, Fatal Frame. Fatal Frame is a popular horror game that features a horrific tale, as well as excellent imagery and graphics. The story takes place in Japan in the Himuro Mansion. Nobody is aware that the Himuro home exists. The Himuro Mansion actually exists in Japan, and it is thought to be the site of one of the country's worst mass murders, with 7 individuals purportedly found dead as a result of bizarre occult rituals. The strangling ritual, in which a young girl would have ropes attached to her limbs, only to have them stretched apart and cut off from her in order to seal off evil spirits from the house, was supposedly carried out there. Number 4, Kholat. Kholat is an indie horror game set in Russia and inspired by the Dyatlov Pass incident. This game portrays the story of 9 college students who traveled to Kholat Syakhl Mountain in 1959 but then remained missing for 4 months before being discovered dead. While being pursued by a shadow ghost-like thing, the player must find numerous pages including portions from the investigator's report and sections from the 9 hikers' logbook. No one knows for sure who murdered this group of hikers, most of whom were university students, to this day. Some skeptics believe it was an accident, while others believe they were attacked by a Russian Yeti. The fact that one hiker's tongue and eye were missing, as well as another hiker's shattered skull, makes for a considerably more terrifying scenario than an accident. Number 3, The Town of Light. LKA developed The Town of Light, a psychological horror adventure game. Renee, a young girl with a major mental disorder, and her struggle to survive are the subjects of this story. She has a number of issues, including periodic blackouts, anxiety, and a peculiar sound in her brain. Renee is searching for answers about her past in Ospedale Psichiatrico di Volterra, a real-life Italian hospital where she spent most of her childhood as a patient. The real-life hospital was closed down in 1978 after the treatment of its 6,000 patients was deemed extremely brutal. Many patients transferred there to be treated for psychiatric problems never returned home, earning the facility the nickname the place of no return among locals. Number 2, Neverending Nightmares. Lead game designer Matt Gilgenbach's personal problems with extreme obsessive-compulsive disorder and despair inspired this terrifying 2014 horror game in which you are trapped in a nightmare after nightmare, as the title suggests. Specific visuals, compulsive fears, and weird, oppressive ideas that Gilgenbach experienced during a significant attack of mental illness in the early 2000s are clearly engraved into this terrifying game, according to him. So many references, no matter how minor or large, are directly inspired by Gilgenbach's prior condition, from seemingly endless hallways to the disturbing tics and talks of grandfather clocks to an axe bathed in blood. Number 70, Eye of Basar. After the player's grandmother passes away, they must examine their character's childhood house in Number 70, Eye of Basar, a horror exploration game. After allegedly witnessing paranormal beings as a child, it is up to players to figure out what happened when the player's brother goes missing in the house. House number 70 is out there, said Volkan Demir, the game's director. The game is based on true events that occurred decades ago in that very house. The game is a massive spookfest and worth buying up if players are not terrified of the dark, despite the fact that he never goes further into the history of said property.